Beru watched Suho with deep admiration. Despite facing countless trials, the young monarch had never chosen to run away. Within Suho's still fragile appearance, Beru could see the faint shadow of the great monarch he once served. His sharp instincts quickly analyzed the enemy. The true form of the possessed hunter was the cursed sword controlling the host. If they severed the arm holding the blade, the enemy would lose its power, rendered immobile and helpless. The possessed hunter's burning eyes flared as it let out a piercing scream, launching a frenzied dart attack on the three lichen shadows. The lichens lunged forward, one of them sinking its fangs into the cursed sword, halting the enemy's movements. Suho's eyes widened in surprise as the lichens, who had fallen moments ago, stood back up after he infused them with mana. Their bodies regenerated as if nothing had happened. Beru observed the scene with pride. Shadow soldiers possessed astral forms. No matter how many times they were struck down, as long as the monarch supplied mana, they would rise again endlessly. The shadow lichens relentlessly attacked the possessed soldier, but their strikes lacked power. Suho observed the struggle, questioning the strength of his soldiers. Beru calmly noted that the shadow's weakened state was due to the young monarch still developing mana. The possessed soldier's voice echoed, filled with disbelief as it questioned how. Suho's eyes widened in shock. The possessed said with disbelief as it questioned how such an insignificant pest could wield the shadow monarch's power. Suho's mind raced, stunned by the creature's speech. Beru's fury flared, his voice echoing with indignation at the insult toward the shadow monarch's bloodline. The possessed soldier's eyes burned brighter, realization dawning as it shouted with hatred, declaring the shadow monarch's bloodline as the enemy of the monarch of fangs. The possessed soldier lunged forward, its attack relentless. Suho smirked, ready to test its point strength. With ruler's authority, he flung a weapon from the ground, but the enemy effortlessly dodged. Observing its quick reaction, Suho's eyes shifted toward the scattered weapons on the floor, his mind already calculating his next move. The possessed soldier let out a piercing scream, its rage echoing through the tunnel. Suho's eyes narrowed, realizing that victory would come through sheer quantity. With ruler's authority, he manipulated multiple weapons from the ground, launching them all at once toward the enemy. Beru observed from the shadows, his thoughts admiring how Suho's natural aptitude for ruler's authority had been present since his infancy. The possessed soldier shattered the flying weapons with ease, its furious scream filling the air. Suho lunged forward, swinging his sword, but the enemy effortlessly broke his weapon with a single strike. Panic flickered in Suho's mind. If a goblin weapon couldn't withstand even one blow, it was as if he had no means to fight back. One attack could end him instantly. If the battle had dragged on, any chance of victory would slip away. The possessed soldier sneered, taunting Suho for running away and calling the shadow monarch a coward who hid behind his shadow soldiers. Suho's expression hardened at the insult, considering the remark a low blow. Though he kept his composure, doubt clouded his mind. The provocation was clear, but beneath his calm exterior, he wasn't confident he could face the enemy in direct combat. Frustration filled Suho's mind as he lamented his lack of strength. If only he possessed greater power, the battle might have been different. Seeking answers, he turned to Beru, questioning why, despite his seal being released, his former strength from climbing the tower had not returned. Beru explained that the young monarch's power had been sealed since infancy, and what Suho was experiencing now was merely the gradual return of his innate talent from that time. If Suho had fully regained that power, it would have been more than enough to challenge Itarim. However, the tower was neither a dream nor reality, merely a test to determine if he could handle his own talent. Whether he passed or not, the physical strength he possessed during the trial was destined to vanish afterward. Suho questioned if the entire experience in the tower had merely been a game. However, Beru assured him that the experience was far from useless. He urged Suho to recall the feelings and fighting spirit he had in the tower. Suho recalled his time in the tower, where he primarily fought with his fists. The thought of having gauntlets like those from back then crossed his mind. Baru's earlier words echoed. Shadow soldiers possessed astral forms, capable of recovery as long as mana was not supplied. Realizing he could alter Baru's form at will, Suho made his decision. He extended his dot hand and issued the command, "Arise." The possessed soldier sneered, dismissing the trick as futile. With a roar, it lunged toward Suho, sword raised to deliver a fatal blow. As the blade descended, the shadow lichens swiftly converged around Suho. The soldier's sword smashed down, but instead of cutting through flesh, it met a hardened surface. The possessed soldier's grin faded into shock. Suho had merged the lichen shadows into a massive shadow fist, blocking the attack. Suho's voice rang out, steady and confident. "Steel-fanged lichen. Seems like you're living up to your name." A notification appeared before Suho. Notice. Skill. Shadow extraction has leveled up. Skill. Shadow extraction level 2. Form change acquired. Requirement. Shadow authority. No mana consumption. Allows arbitrary transformation of shadow soldiers' forms. The possessed soldier lunged forward with another attack, its sword slashing through the air. Suho met the assault head-on, his shadow-forged gauntlets raised. With his fists clad in the steel-fanged lichen's form, Suho engaged in close-quarters combat, launching a barrage of punches while skillfully blocking the enemy's strikes. Beru observed from the shadows, his thoughts filled with astonishment. The young monarch had transformed shadow soldiers into weapons, an advanced technique that only those who transcended power could freely wield. Though Suho had only just begun to grasp shadow authority, still at the level of a newly hatched ant larva, he instinctively learned the next stage without any guidance. His combat instincts, sharpened through countless battles, combined with his natural aptitude for ruler's authority, revealed a glimpse of the overwhelming potential buried within him. Suho extended his hand, activating ruler's authority. The dagger behind the possessed soldier shot forward, piercing into its back, drawing a scream from the beast. The sudden attack diverted its attention, creating an opening. Seizing the moment, Suho dashed forward, his eyes burning with determination. His shadow-forged fists pummeled the possessed soldier relentlessly, each blow echoing through the tunnel. The rapid barrage left no room for counterattacks, as Suho's strikes rained down without mercy. With one final, powerful punch, the possessed soldier's body was sent crashing into the floor, its agonized screams filling the cavern as cracks spread beneath its weight. Suho extended his hand once more, harnessing ruler's authority to command the scattered weapons on the floor. Axes, swords, and blades trembled before rising into the air, their edges glinting in the dim light. With a flick of his will, the weapons launched toward the possessed soldier, slashing and piercing from all directions. Suho charged in tandem, wielding an axe to deliver a crushing blow, while the floating weapons continued their relentless assault. With one final blow, Suho's sword pierced through its body, delivering the finishing strike.